180 to 220. Up to level 2. At like 5
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, you've been there a while.
Good morning, everyone. Before we get started, I would like to those attending in person today, please keep chatter and conversation to a minimum. As we have microphones in the ceiling that will record any additional noise, please respect those who are attending both in person and virtually by waiting to speak until directed so. And then we'll get started. Good morning, my name is Ana Armenta. I am the Arizona Racing Commission Secretary. Today is January 12th, 2024. The 719th Arizona Racing Commission regular meeting taking place via Google Meets and in person. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge.
Present.
Vice Chair Olson.
Present.
Commissioner French Contreras. Here. Commissioner York.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. It is now 10:01 a.m. and the floor is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll call to order the 719th Arizona Racing Commission meeting of Friday, January 12th, 2024. Before we get started, just wanted to apologize for not being able to attend in person with my fellow commissioners. Had a family event pop up that I needed to be out of state for. So again, apologize for not being in person. That said, we'll jump into action items, which we only have one. That is the Arizona Racing Commission steward approval pursuant to ARS 5-106J. For any commissioners that might not be aware, previously we had the commission had voted to grant the authority to the department to pursue these stewards and bring them back to the commission for formal approval. So Mr. Duncan, we'll hand it to you for any updates.
Thank you, Chairman, Commission. Everybody received in their packet all the approval letters from the director. We're just asking for approval for all the permittees or for all the stewards for the racetracks throughout Arizona, which includes myself, Brian Duncan, Don Roush, Jason Hart, Johnny Ward, Juan Carlos Estrada, and then on behalf of Turf Paradise, the associate steward, John Adams.
And there's no additional information that we need to be aware of that isn't included in the packet, correct?
No, sir. Everything is in the packet.
Thank you much. Any questions from my commissioners?
This is Commissioner York. I have just a couple.
Ma'am?
Mr. Duncan, you and Mr. Estrada, this is an addition to your regular duties with the Department of Stewards?
That is correct. We are
Okay.
the backups and fill-in.
Okay, so you're backup. Okay. And how often does the accreditation, do you have to go through that process?
Every 2 years, you need
Every 2 years.
additional 16 hours of accreditation.
And is this the totality of the stewards? I just remember approving some not too long ago. So I was wondering if.
That was back in April
Okay,
of last year. We did have them approved as well. We do it on a yearly basis.
okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion.
Ma'am?
Based on the department's investigation into the skills, knowledge, and experience in horse racing and the credentials provided, I move to approve the appointment of the Racing Commission stewards pursuant to ARS 5-106J.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Olson and a second by Commissioner French Contreras. I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner French Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York.
Yes.
With a total of 4 yeses, thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. We'll drop down to the track safety report with now steward Juan Estrada.
Sure, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, just a quick update on the safety report. I just want to inform you guys that on December 22nd, 2023, a list was handed to Turf Paradise with deficient items that needed attention. Just want to assure you guys that we are working diligently to make sure that that list gets completed. They do have until January 19th for a final inspection, which I intend to complete and report back to all. I would recommend if the commission and staff would want to reconvene, have a special meeting before anything is finalized, that we schedule a special commission meeting so that everybody gets the latest update on where Turf Paradise stands with those items. But as of now, those items are being worked on. We're assured by Turf Paradise that everything has been assigned and is being worked on.
Thank you, sir. I would ask the director to keep us appraised of that status and recommend a special meeting as needed.
Will do, sir.
Thank you. And we don't have Dr. Gale today, I assume.
Chairman, she's here.
Chairman, before Dr. Gill goes, let's have Don Robbins give a supplementary.
Yeah. Appreciate it, sir.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Don Roush. I'm an Arizona State Steward. Just to kind of reiterate on what Mr. Estrada was mentioning, I've actually been monitoring the list of requirements. And I can assure you that Turf Paradise has been working diligently to meet the requirements that we've asked of them. I will have a more thorough and complete report after the January 19th deadline.
Mr. Roush, if you could provide that report to us when it's available.
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman and Commissioners, I have a question. Is it necessary for us to actually have a second meeting if everything's going all right, or can we wait for staff to let us know if there's any challenges? Then we have a special meeting on this approval.
I will address that, Commissioner. It is not necessary to have a special meeting just to give you an update. We can do that through email and update you if there are any items of concern that would require a special. Do not proceed with the opening. That would be the reason to have a special meeting. But otherwise, if everything's on track and we're ready to go, we can apprise you of that and move forward.
I think that's the way to go. Let the staff do their job, let Turf Paradise do their job, and then if we need a special meeting, we'll have one. Otherwise, we'll just assume we're getting the information and everything's copacetic.
Noted. Thank you.
Thanks, Director.
And Chair, Dr. Gale is available now for an update if you'd like.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Gale, only if you have one. I'm not sure if it was an oversight or if I'm putting you on the spot, but always appreciate your insights.
I can give a brief report. There have been horses on the track since December 26th, training, and to date, there've been no incidents. There was one horse that stumbled, but that one's being attended to. And other than that, all is well on the backside.
That's great. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Gale, are we going to have another special meeting that you've had to report? You've had your special meetings regarding track safety and the history of injuries and whatnot. Are we going to have another one of those anytime soon?
I can look into that. Dr. Butler and Dr. Butler is the track veterinarian at Turf Paradise, and she and I have been talking quite a bit. We intend to have a meeting with the Midwestern Veterinary School about necropsy procedures and reports, and also doing the pre-exam reviews once the entries are taken to identify any red flag horses that need special attention on pre-race exam, and certainly at some point in the future, since racing doesn't start yet for another couple of weeks, we may not have much to report. But maybe in February sometime we can have one of those meetings.
And how about the strike rate? Has that been implemented any further?
Not to my knowledge, that was down at Until last year. I don't believe it's been even approached in Turf Paradise. It does cost some money for a track to bring that system in. But there are some meetings and research that are being done on that, and I've been reading some of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chair Coolidge, I do want to add as well that we are working alongside with HISA, HEWU, and the Jockeys Guild, the HPPA, to make sure that these items are satisfactory to them as well. Again, we are working together and diligently.
Appreciate that, sir.
Chairman, may I, or
Yes, sir.
I just want to update the commission that department has signed a voluntary implementation agreement with HISA that was executed yesterday. So we're moving forward. The division is working closely with HIWU to get the test barn prepared and get staff trained appropriately to move forward. So just wanted to let you all know that.
Thank you much. Any other questions for my commissioners? Appreciate everybody's efforts on that end. Know there's a lot to go together to get this meet put together quickly, so just appreciate it. Budget report.
Good morning. My name is Latrina Roseman. I'm going to give you an activity report for the month of December. Currently, the cash balance is at $2,369,000. We are projecting that our expenses are going to amount to $2,200,000 for the rest of the year. This does not include the Breeders' Awards, which we will start giving out once racing start, and that's $250,000. The regulatory fund that we collected for this month was $51,354,000. We also collected license fees of $4,947, excuse me, along with racing fees of $5,917. Our payroll for the year, or excuse me, our payroll for the month is a little less than $119,000. We have legal costs at $94,646,000. We have other contracted services at $38,429,000, bringing our total for the month of activity for the month of December of $254,847.
Chairman and commissioners and staff, there was discussion in the legislature yesterday about the $5 million that was awarded or is to be awarded. Where does that fall into the budget, or how is that reported out?
I can address that, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
The $5 million provided to the legislature for purse enhancement. We sent an agreement over to HBPA for signature. We're not quite certain that we received that back yet, but the monies will be distributed and it will be available prior to the start of the race meeting.
Will we get a report on that?
If you like, we're nothing more than a pass through on
Right.
it. So yes, we can update the commission when that occurs.
Please, thank you.
Sir.
Okay. So the race and appropriation, yes, on the next slide. The race and appropriation is $2.3 million. There's a graph here showing you where our spend is. So within reason here for the month, or for the year, I should say. Go to the next picture. And then the next slide is the racing cash balance. And it shows you that we're a little lower than what we have in the prior months. So we're looking good for the end of the year.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from my commissioners?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, we'll move to the legislative update with Mr. Maxwell Hargroves.
Good morning, Chairman, and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Max Hargraves, Legislative Liaison for the Arizona Department of Community Before I get into the legislative update, I quickly wanted to touch on the 5 million in-person enhancements. I did just receive a signed agreement from the HPPA, so I will pass that on to staff immediately after this meeting, and we'll get rolling and distributing those funds over to the HPPA before the Turf Paradise race meet. Back to the legislative update. As of this morning, we've seen 749 bills introduced during this legislative session thus far. Of those 749 bills, we have had one specifically related to the Arizona Racing Commission. This bill, House Bill 2415, has been introduced by Representative David Cook yesterday, and it looks to continue the Arizona Racing Commission for 2 years. For further background, every state agency, board, and commission statutorily expires by law unless continued by the Arizona legislature. This is commonly referred to as the sunset process. As part of this process, a committee of members from both the House and the Senate review a sunsetting agency, board, or commission, and a public hearing conducted at the state legislature to determine the recommendation for continuation. The Arizona Racing Commission specifically is set to expire in statute on July 1, 2024. Pursuant to the sunset process, the Arizona Racing Commission was heard in front of the legislature yesterday, and members of the committee recommended that the Arizona Racing Commission be from 2 to 6 years. I will continue to update the commission throughout this legislative session regarding the continuation bill and any other relevant legislation. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the work at the legislature, Max. We all know it's going to be a tumultuous next couple of months for you. So please stay vocal with the commission and let us know how things are progressing, and we'll be in touch there. Mr. Gessman, do you want to give us a report on the IHIA?
Good morning, Chairman Coolidge, commissioners and staff. Leroy Gessman with the National HPPA. There isn't a lot to report on the national level. We are still in the process of waiting on the 5th District Court, who promised they would have a response by the end of 2023. But now it's 2024, so we're still waiting. We expect it any day, but one thing I will, in talking to the attorneys involved, they really feel like all the other lawsuits, the 4 other lawsuits that are still pending, they feel like those judges are all waiting on the results of this district court before they proceed. And eventually, probably everything will get merged together and be going to the Supreme Court. That's the prediction. But until we get the 5th District Court, Hise is still here. We still have to work with them. I just want to report that I'm glad the department has entered into an agreement. It'll make the meet go a lot smoother. And I want to also mention the HPPA and Turf Paradise are in negotiations with Attorney Rourke. And we're close to finalizing our agreement for getting all the fees paid for 23 and 24. Any questions?
None on my end. Just wanted to echo what you're saying there a little bit, at least as far as the upcoming live racing meet. I know that there's been active new hiring for staff, like additional vets and vet techs and investigators. The number one priority for us is to keep these horses safe and everyone else safe there on the racetrack. So just appreciate all that y'all are doing and the updates on your end, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move down to the permittee reports, not to exceed 3 minutes. American Greyhound Racing.
I signed up for this item.
Chair, would you like to hear that now or at the call to the public?
Let's move that to the call to the public, please.
I actually have two separate things. I'm also on call to the public. This was specific to HISA.
Okay, sir, go ahead and take 3 minutes.
Sorry, Mr. Coolidge, I think the Assistant Attorney General has something to say. If that's
Ma'am,
Thank you, Vice Chair. I don't believe there was a separate sign-in for anything other than call to the public, so that would be the appropriate time to.
thank you, ma'am.
I-
So we'll-
Previous commission meetings, you were able to
We'll
sign.
move, sir,
Are you trying to silence the public?
okay, we're gonna go ahead and move to the permittee reports. American Greyhound Racing.
This is a legal question. What are you scared of?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Aaron Feinberg for American Greyhound Racing. We have no update this month.
Thank you, sir. Arizona Downs. County Fairs.
Good morning,
Oh.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and staff. I'm Tom Author from Arizona Downs.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
As everybody knows, probably in here, this esteemed body saw fit to revoke our permit last week, so that I don't have a lengthy report. I just want to assure everybody we're not going away. We're going to keep fighting. We have a lot of interest in the track. There are a couple clarifications that need to be made, however. In my opinion, until we approve ARS 5-111 and 112 or enforce it, it's a law, there will never be any year-round racing in Arizona. At that hearing, the department's counsel, Pat Urban, stated, well, why are you bringing that up now? You have never brought it up, sued us over it. We've never been to court on that. Well, that's kind of a sad commentary, but I've got 12 emails here, a minimum of 12 emails discussing this with this commission and this director over the last 3 or 4 years. I also have a letter we sent 2 years ago to the Attorney General's office discussing that. Nothing ever happened. It's kind of a sad commentary that my takeaway from this is the department's counsel said it's futile to address us in any way other than a lawsuit. And perhaps that's advice we need to take straight from the department's counsel. Because until that is enforced, which says you get the simulcast signal during your meet, the other gets theirs during theirs, which had gone on for 15 years. And then they stopped enforcing it once we came. And that's why there will never be any year-round racing in this state until that comes back. So that's really all I want to say. We regret we were unable to put on a meet. Chairman Coolidge referenced that. I would only remind him that we were actually prevented from putting it on because of our contract to sell the track to Stronach. Had we put that meet on and Stronach closed on the track, they would not have had a permit. They would have had to take everybody out of their stalls and send everybody home. So we could not put that meet on. In the meantime, we've got a lot of interest. We're still working with people. We're working from a tremendous handicap, but we'll keep fighting and we'll see what happens in the upcoming months. That's my.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody?
County
Chairman?
Fairs. Oh, do I have a comment from a commissioner?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. R, for coming down. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
yeah, happy to do it.
What is your position then on the enforcement or not enforcement of that statute? How that affected whether or not your track would still be running today?
Well, we would have had the entire simulcast signal for our entire meet, which means we would have been receiving that for the 5 or 6 years we've on the track. So that would have provided us enough money to run a meet. There's not only do you receive the signal, but you have to pay 100% of the expenses. So to the party that's not receiving the signal because they're not running, they're also not incurring a bunch of operating expenses because the other track has to do it. And again, that's the way things work. I believe, I'll use Padre Murphy as an example. They opened in 1995. And maybe somebody here can correct me, but I believe that Yavapai Downs shut down in something like 2010. So that was 15 years where they did that. And they didn't do it out of the kindness of that. They did it because it was the law and they had to do it. So when we came back, for whatever reason, They just decided not to enforce it. And as a consequence, we had no real OTB network. And oftentimes when we tried to open an OTB, we were turned down because it's too close or it's this or that. All these issues, the 60-mile rule, the proximity concerns, all that goes away if you just enforce that statute. Because we're not competing with each other. We're growing the network at the same time. We're helping each other out. Instead, it became an episode of don't give them theirs. We want that. It just became a competitive thing instead of a cooperative thing. And we see the result of that. There will be no meetup at Arizona Downs this year. Hopefully we can bring in and we had an investor. They walked away from putting money up for the meet due to the permitting situation. And we had a buyer that had forfeited hundreds of thousands of dollars that walked from that purchase in July based upon the department's direction to the horsemen to come. So I'm biting my tongue here, but I think losing our permit, in my opinion only, is the result of a multi-year effort that finally succeeded.
I appreciate your opinion and your feelings on that. And just to stress the fact that this commission does not interpret the rules. The commission follows the law and applies it fairly and impartially based on legal advice that we get as well. I do wish you well. Whether or not you had a buyer walk away, my opinion on that is that's a business dealing. And if it had less value and your track wasn't worth pursuing because it didn't have an active permit, that's on you. But I do wish you well. I would love to see full-time racing.
Thank you. I will say this. A lot of my problems predated your guys' involvement here. I don't necessarily have a problem. I wish you hadn't done it, but I don't necessarily have a problem given what you were presented with your revoking our permit. I think it's a bad idea, but based upon how you were counseled, I don't think you had much other choice.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Nothing for me. Thank you, Mr. Otto.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll drop down to county fairs.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair Coolidge and Commissioners. This is Dr. Joanne DeFilippo, and I'm reporting on the Pima County Fair Horse Racing Commission. We held our meeting yesterday, and we were presented with the results of the Infrastructure Subcommittee report. I will forward a copy of that report to Director Casillas, and he can handle it accordingly. Also, I want to thank Ms. Sim, Francia, and Johnson at Turf Paradise. We had discussions with them about, we've applied for 4 county fair days. They're submitted to the Board of Supervisors for their January 23rd meeting. And we are looking at running our county fair days at Turf Paradise in March. And that's what we have to report for this month.
Thank you for the update. Look forward to watching that. Do we have a report from Rito?
Here, nobody in person has a report, it appears.
Thank you, ma'am. Turf Paradise?
Chair, again, in person, it appears as no one has a report.
Just want to call Rito or Turf Paradise one more time before we move forward. Mr. Johnson, go ahead. Or Mr. Mayor, excuse me.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Coolidge. I think Mr. Sims also wanted to speak. I wanted to keep on the theme of what was brought up earlier about the list of things to do. And that we've been working on since the beginning when the list was submitted. And the list is actually in 3 parts submitted by the state, the Jockeys Guild, and HISA. And ever since that, we have been diligently getting these things done. There are 35 different things that have been submitted. Most of them are things we do as a matter of course when we open the race meet. But we've taken each of the items that have been submitted by the state, the Guild and HISA, and we've assigned them to different members of staff. So we will be ready on the 19th for the first of the inspections. And of course, we're counting days here. We have 17 days until the race meet actually opens on the 29th of this month. And we want to have everything completed by that time. The last thing I wanted to add is all of the entities I mentioned, the state, the Guild, and HISA. I want to add the HBPA, the Arizona HBPA, specifically Leroy Guessman. We have been in conference daily, communication daily, and he has been helping focus his considerable expertise and energies in helping us getting these things done. And that's the good thing about this list. It isn't just something that's handed to me and say, get this done. All three entities want this race meet to open on the 29th. They want turf to be successful. And that is our every intention. We want to run from the 29th until closing of the meet on May the 4th. Thank you, Chairman Coolidge, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Chair Coolidge, this is Commissioner York. I have a question. for Mr.
Ma'am.
Francia. Mr. Francia, are you able at this time to give us an update on the sale of the track?
Mr. Sims would be the one to provide an update to the commission.
Is he available?
I don't know if he's on the line or not, Commissioner.
Okay, in lieu of that, when can we get an update?
I will, if Mr. Sims doesn't phone in, I will let him know following this meeting's adjournment that the commission is requesting that. Is that okay, Commissioner?
Yes, thank you.
You bet. You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, I can also add him at the end to call to the public, should he be able to sign in, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
We'll move down to the optional industry stakeholder association updates with the Arizona Counties Racing Association.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Oh,
Chairman, can you hear
Mr.
me now?
Sims, go ahead, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to get in before. Apologize. Thank you for making time. I must respond to a couple things and then the commissioner's question. What Mr. Tom Arthur said couldn't be further from accurate, just not truthful. And I'm going to explain to you why. It may take me a few minutes, but he took quite a bit of time explaining the wrong facts to you. I've been here since 2000, June of 2000, I closed escrow. What happened was when the OTBs were run by us and then by Yavapai Downs back in that day, they didn't ever run the OTBs. We ran them for them. They got them on what was called a 1-for-1. You ran one live day to one dark day. If you didn't run a live day, so if you ran 10 live days, you got 10 dark days. During that time, we ran the OTBs. We never let anybody else run the OTBs. It was my Turf Paradise's mutual department. It was all our staff. We collected the money. All of that was run by Turf Paradise. We never said, here's our OTB, most valuable asset that the track has, and let somebody else run it. And I'm sorry to be a little personal on this, but I didn't trust and had my real reasons to ever turn my business, all my OTB system, over to Arizona Downs. I must make one fact that some of you commissioners probably aren't aware of. When they came in 2018, they signed under penalty of perjury that all the money going into the track was their money. It turned out that that was not true. They had a hidden person putting money in, and after 12 or 13 days of running their first meet in 2019,
Mr. Sims, Mr. Sims, I'm gonna jump in here. Let's not go
Okay,
back.
I just want you to
forth.
understand,
Yeah,
but I wanted you to understand why I wouldn't turn my business
we get it.
over to them. Okay.
This is
So
for
there
a
was
permit E report and hope that we can get
all right,
focused.
but I had to respond because he made it sound like the
I
commission's
understand.
not following up. One other fact that's not in that personal little reign, but when we were having meetings, you may have been to them, Chairman, and I know Director Kazis, I'm sure you were there, as a matter of fact. You might remember that we offered that we would run the OTBs for them in the summer. They walked out of the meeting. They didn't want it. We offered that more than once. You might remember we met up in Director Casillas' conference room and we said, hey, what we'll do, we'll let you have the revenue and the expenses. We knew that they weren't going to make any money from that because during that period of time with the amount of OTBs we have, it's not going to make any money. But we offered it anyway. And they turned us down. So to come back now and say, gee, they wanted this would have kept them in business. You were in those meetings, Director Casillas was in those meetings. They got up and walked out of the room. Okay, Commissioner York, right now regarding your question about a sale, there is no sale now under contract. There's no deal. The deal that was there before, the people never put up their money and it just didn't happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you much. Let's move down to the Arizona Counties Racing Association update, please.
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner Coolidge, and Chair Coolidge and Commissioners, this is Dr. Joanne DeFilippo. At our, Pima County Fair Horse Racing Commission meeting yesterday, we had a commissioner come forward, Commissioner Tim Kelly, who is now going to get with Sonoida and Douglas and figure out what is going on with the Arizona Counties Racing Association, so we can update everything with the Arizona Corporation Commission and get everything on track. We will keep you informed as we go through this process.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
Arizona Quarter Horse Racing Association.
Good morning.
Arizona.
Chairman Coolidge, Commissioners, Director Lloyd Yotha with the Arizona Quarter Horse Association President, is a HBPA President. With the chaos in the horse racing in Arizona that's been going on for a number of years, I'm going to defer my time to Guessman. Quarter horses are kind of we're in tow with what's happening with the HBPA, and I'm going to let him. I'm going to defer my time to him if it's permissible.
No problem. Mr. Guessman, you want to take that now, and then I'll jump back up to the Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association?
Chair Coolidge and Commissioner staff, Leroy Guessman, HBPA. I appreciate him giving me the extra 3 minutes, but I probably don't need that. I'll be brief. I just want to say we've had reports from Juan Estrada, and we've had a report from Mr. Francia and John Roush on the projects going on at Turf Paradise. And first of all, I want to say I've been here 9 years. And this is the first time the department has taken this stuff seriously. And I just want to say, we as the horsemen really appreciate you getting out there and making sure this stuff gets done. As far as the projects go, they're going slow, but they are moving forward. The pavers were there yesterday and did a partial job of fixing a couple of the streets. There's a lot more work to be done, but they have started. I want to say that the racetrack in the 9 years I've been here is the best condition it's ever been in. It, for the first time in 9 years, was done properly. The work that the Alvarez crew did, and with the supervision of Dennis Moore and Mr. Peterson, Nick Peterson, that is probably the best racetrack we have ever had here. And I've got nothing but compliments from horsemen and the way that it's treating the horses. So I want to thank Turf Paradise for getting a safe racetrack. Like I said, the other projects are moving along, and I work with Vince every day. We're working on the HISA requirements, not only on projects, but he has, HISA has a lot of paperwork, and I'm trying to help him with that as well. So we are moving forward with that. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, I'll take it.
No, appreciate all the efforts there. No, you have a ton of work to do, and we'll keep plugging away, see how we can make sure that this thing comes together.
Thank you, Mr. Gussman.
The Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association. What about Jockeys Guild?
Chair, we have somebody for the Thoroughbreds Association.
Morning, Commission.
Thank you.
Thoroughbred breeder. In the last few weeks, we've had something pretty tragic happen to our association. We were granted a total of $1 million from the federal government that the state government decided they needed more. So our third share for the second year has gone. I'm asking what the department specifically is doing to push back and regain the money that was taken from us. We're the smallest stakeholder, but I certainly believe we're one of the most important. We breed local horses in state to run at local tracks. They've paid Turf Paradise. He lives in La Jolla. They paid 2 years of the horsemen. They've got another year due. The department should certainly be pushing for that. And most of those guys pick up and go out of state. We're the local guys. Are we going to stand up for the people here? Or are we just going to let this go and say, hey, we're just the small guys and we can't fight together? So I'd appreciate some follow-up from anybody that has anything to do with this.
Sir, just for my sake and clarity, and maybe I missed it in the beginning, what allocation are you referring to?
There was some federal funding that was coming to
Assuming the ARPA dollars, is that what you're talking through?
Yes.
So, and I can speak to that a little bit. I can also direct the department to jump in there should I get over my skis. But really, what's happened with those ARPA dollars is, from my knowledge of it, the contract on that had expired in June of 23. Under the previous administration, I know that those dollars had been assessed, and under the new administration, it seems like there is a fear of a federal audit to claw back those funds. So my suggestion to you is to work with state legislators and others to see how we can go and as an industry chase additional grants and other funds so that we can supplement some of those funds, because I think a fair amount of people here are going to agree with you on that. And while it is disappointing, we also understand that the federal government does what they're going to do, and the state here wants to make sure that we're protecting ourselves from a possible couple $1 million liability. And so all that to say, you do have legislators, state legislators that are fighting for you down at the state, and I would highly recommend you work with them and they work very closely with the department here as well, just to continue to fight for this industry.
Well, it's fine and dandy and we are. But we're also have our own department that's supposed to be behind us and willing to work for us too. And I would hope you guys are, or at least the department, I don't know what the commission can do, but I would hope the department will be back behind us and, you know, representing our case. I mean,
Understood.
That's what you guys are funded for.
Mr. Chairman, this is the director. I have Max, Art Grace here that could shed a little more light. So,
Sure. Max, go ahead.
I'll say that.
Chairman Coolidge, commissioners, Chairman Coolidge, I think you hit the points very clearly there. The administration really identified these ARPA federal funds as a high risk audit, and they are under scrutiny by the federal government due to concerns about misuse. So, and the state could be held liable by the federal government and subject to a clawback for these funds. So, I believe you touched on those points correctly. You know, as a regulator, we are directed by policymakers when it comes to funding issues like this. So, you know, I'd like people to keep that in mind when we talk about grants and funding of that nature. You know, we are directed by the administration for grants. So, you know, per their direction, this is why these funds have been discontinued at the moment. So I hope that provides a little further clarity.
Mr. Hargraves, I can ask a question, of course. What is the total amount that is subject to clawback or audit? I'm sure they're one and the same. It's not just the breeder piece, correct? Is it more?
I believe it's all of the federal funding that has been allocated.
So the entire 5 million?
That is a state fund. So,
Okay.
Chair, Commissioner, yes, so the $5 million in state funds, that is a separate.
Okay, sorry, I used the wrong number. So is it the entire 3 years of COVID funding or is it just the last year?
I believe it, and I can look into this further for you, Commissioner.
Okay.
My understanding is, you know, they worry that if we continue distributing those federal grants, that they could be subject to a clawback. So that is why they're discontinuing them now in order to prevent a future clawback.
Okay. It just seems that there was an analysis that went into determining the clawback risk. Would be nice to know what those criteria were to make that.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner York, I'd be happy to look into that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Hargraves, as you look into kind of the criteria and the risk assessment, if the conversation is open, continuing to relay the feedback from our industry would be helpful as well.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Olson, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, just getting some additional information. I'd make a motion to move to executive session, please.
Second.
Thank you. With a motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Vice Chair Olson, we will be moving into executive. Or, sorry, Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner French Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York.
Yes.
Thank you. A total of 4 yeses. We'll move into executive.
Everybody.
Public comment. You can't act.
Well, I think you can clear, Andrea, that it was like, that we're escalating this, when you're willy-nilly launching missiles and drones against international shipping in international waters, you're engaging in a violation of international law. So,
All right, looks like we're all back in attendance. I will do roll call. Chair Coolidge,
Present.
Vice Chair Olson. Present. Commissioner Franklin Rivera.
Here.
Commissioner York. Present. It is now 11:06. Thank you. We have a forum.
Thank you. We're still on action item 6, and just for an update on Jockeys Guild, please.
Village and Commission, Daryl here of the Jockeys Guild. Earlier, can close the Department of Order Miniature Paradise to bring things up to we stand, and they're working diligently. My hope is they're working diligently some of the concerns at Paradise. He's working deserve
Breaking up.
ethical.
Mr. Darrell, I think your connection isn't great.
Better, Mr. Coolidge.
Yes, sir. We're having a tough time hearing you. The phone is breaking up.
A little better.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So, working close with the department, one, the management. I'm going to be going back there this coming week. So they've been working hard to address some of the concerns that we had. And, you know, that he's a hardworking horseman of Arizona, only deserve to have a safety, successful meet coming up. So we're doing what we can to get some of the concerns. And I will be Arizona next week, this coming week, continue working with management and the department. So we have a meet coming up. Questions for me from the commission?
No, sir. Thank you for your update. Do any of my commissioners have, or moving down to D1, any of my commissioners have any items to add on future agendas or events affecting the Arizona Racing Commission?
Chairman and fellow commissioners, this is Candace Frenchkin first. A couple of things, Chairman. One is I know that the department has no control over our empty seat. We still have an empty seat on the commission. However, would it be possible to pursue with the department that is in charge of all the recommendations for or recruitment for seat appointments? I know there's literally hundreds of seats open and they're always working to try and get seats filled. We're not the only one, but it would be nice if we could make some noise or do something. I know each seat has a certain requirement. I don't know what the requirement is for the appointment on our empty seat, but I'd love to see some action if we could, just to get more seat, the last seat filled on that. Additionally, I know with the limited staff that the department has, it's very difficult to do a formal appointment of a subcommittee. That would require staff time, it would require minutes, it would require reporting. But I love and appreciate that everybody has appeared today, and I really appreciate all the hard work of the staff. One of the things that I've noticed is we need to be able to have dialogue with all the moving parts in the industry, being the breeders and the track owners and everyone that's involved. And we're limited in the dialogue that we can have here. I'm wondering if we can't appoint a subcommittee, if we could have informal meetings maybe once a month with all the individuals that would be interested. As long as we don't have a quorum, it'd be 1 or 2 commission members, Matt, that we can maybe just meet openly, so everybody knows where it is. It's not clandestine, but then we could have some just open dialogue with everybody so that we can hear everybody and also let them understand what our limitations are and help us address your needs as well as we can within the limitations that we have. If that's something that might be an option.
Commissioner, I'll try to address that. We can look at that, possible option going forward. I know that, it's difficult for some of the commissioners to get together even on a monthly timeline. Just have the typical racing commission meetings, and sometimes we struggle just to schedule a special meeting. But we can look at options. We can propose, certain dates. We'll talk to the AAG about how we can proceed and not violate any open meeting laws going forward, and try to pick the best date and time that could possibly work.
Director, thank you. And I do appreciate even maybe quarterly. And again, we could make it informal. So staff isn't necessary to be involved. It just be basically sit down over coffee or lunch and just have conversations with all the individuals that have interest in what's happening with racing in Arizona today.
Yes, would the preference be monthly basis, quarterly basis? What would be the commission's preference?
Well, let's look at that. Maybe we need to start quarterly just to make it happen because everybody's time is tight. Again, we do have to watch a quorum. If we make this informal, we cannot have a quorum. But on the other hand, I don't want to make it something that's in the back where people are saying, well, they're meeting and I didn't know about it. So is there something we could do with that?
Yeah, we can go ahead and set up some possible options going forward. We'll present that to the commission, hopefully in February, and see how we can go forward.
Thank you so much.
I just want to express gratitude to the department and the staff for putting
Thank
together.
you.
It's nice to be in person and
Any
to see
other,
the folks here today. And I appreciate it was a lot of work to get everything put together today. So thank you very much.
Chairman, call to the public.
sorry about that. My connection dropped. We'll have the Vice Chair Olson do the call to the public, please.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Just waiting for the list and we will start calling folks up. Now's the time for agenda item E, call time to the side to hear from anyone who wants to speak. I have a sign up that was presented to me this morning. And the number one on the list is Mr. Gore. Would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Commissioners, I just want to read an email to you dated October 13th, 2021. Gentlemen, I regret to inform you that Mr. Sims once again has backed out of further discussion for a single OTB network. My apologies for wasting your time once again. I will not entertain any further request from him to have these discussions. Signed, Rudy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gore. Debbie Zimmerman?
Oh, I was going to speak on for the breeders.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Yother? Anything else? Mr.
I'm good.
Yother? No, you're okay?
I'm good. I can't hear anyway.
Sure, I'll speak up. I'll speak up. I'm so sorry.
I'm good. Said enough. Thank you. I defer my time to the next person.
Thank you, Mr. Yother. Mr. Nolan?
Thank you. I also wish to thank staff for being live and actually meeting you. I do appreciate that, Vice Chair and Commissioner. With that stated, I wish to file an objection into this proceeding and a violation of an open meeting law. Procedure before the commission in the rule book. Would I be allowed to defer a question to the Attorney General? See, I can't because you're not allowed to in public comment. But procedure before the commission states people appearing before the commission may be heard on all subjects. Why aren't we heard? When we raise our hand and there's items, why do you stop us to where you can't do anything?
Mr. Nolan, you're before us and you're welcome to speak on any subject you like during open.
But you do nothing because you can't. It's a violation of the open meeting law, the spirit of the open meeting law. We are here. There was something said before the House and Senate by Mr. Casillas yesterday. The commission is apprised of all concerns. Are you kidding me? Did you see this generic? And yet there's so much discussion about where's the money? How come that's not an agendized item? Why is it you refuse to want to be heard about these items? Another item. I'll read to you from the agenda of the December 5th special meeting concerning race days. Request from Turf Paradise Racing for approval of live race date start die simulcast for fiscal year 23-24 and related applicable state and federal government approvals under department review. My question, Ms. Vice Chair Olson, at minute 36:30, made a motion. That motion was conditional upon subject to HISA's cooperation and authorization. This was December 5th. Do you and have you had HISA approval, authorization? You can't answer me. As of yesterday, there might be some type of agreement. You guys unanimously voted to give race dates, which we thank you, we need to run. We needed to run in October. You understand, I'm here fighting to run. But yet he's cut the meat in half. He's been allowed to in violation of his 3-year permit that I've discussed with you, but it's never addressed. You shove us in public comment. That's a violation of the open meeting law. We are allowed to be heard on all subjects to discuss. I have been silenced for years, and there's been no action taken by our regulators. I has incarcerated right off the steps of the director's office. He wouldn't enforce the statutes.
Sir,
Doesn't protect.
that's your time. Time's up.
There we go. Silenced.
Next person signed up to speak is Stacy Campo. The floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Stacy Campo. Commissioners, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to at least a breeder. I breed to train for my dad. So we have a breeding program where I actually pull out the mares, get them, to be able to make them state bred. I don't think you guys understand what goes into that. Being that you guys might be horse people, but I don't know if you guys understand the dealings that we have to do to be able to run in this state. We don't even have tracks to run in this state. We got somebody that is supposedly supposed to run 150 days in their contract and is running a 3-month meet. Our horses are born, they're pregnant for a year. Then we have yearlings. So as soon as they're born, we have to make payments to Arizona, our ATVA, in order to make them state bred, in order to run in regulated state bred races. So we're making payments on every single mare to make them breed. We pay for the babies that are being born. And then when we go and put them through sales, we're paying sale payments. We're making payments on every single avenue that you can make them be able to get the money back from being bred. You got to remember, when a horse is bred, you've got a whole year that you got to pay for feed, grain, hay, shoeing, everything. So we're trying to make some of our money back on staying in this state. But are we staying in this state? Is anybody even going to regulate these tracks to be able to run? We get permits being pulled. We have tracks that can't open OTBs because there's only one track that actually states that they run The only signal, and no other track that runs in this state is allowed to have a signal. So that kind of sounds like a monopoly. It's not for universal racing. It's not for racing for, it's not, why are we breeding in this state? Why are we even standing here? If it isn't for the horses, these guys wouldn't even have a signal. But some people have a signal for 9 months, all summer long with no racing. But yet we have a 3-month meet. We should have started in October. We didn't, because they're selling the racetrack. So he doesn't want to run. And I'm sorry, I have done nothing but make sure I beautify my barn. And I'm asking you guys, you are allowed to come to the track. I would love it if you guys take a day to come to the track to see what we do at 4 o'clock in the morning
Ma'am,
and train.
I miss it.
I'm just gonna say, if you guys don't come and spend time with us, I have one question for you guys. Do we keep reading?
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Mr. Frank or
My question was answered earlier in the meeting. I'll defer my 3 minutes to Mr. Nolan.
Thank you. Thank you once again. I appreciate the people that want to be heard on each subject. As stated, I raised my hand. I have filed, there have been numerous grievances filed that have been swept away. I've been silenced. This industry has been silenced. For us to move forward, you have to be proactive. You've got to take action. You have to order something to be done to save racing in the state. It's been under attack for 20 years. It was once beautiful. It's an eyesore to the community. It's failed, and that falls on regulation under permittee responsibility 1. Clean, neat, safe, compliance, immediate. Where is it open for discussion? Order it done. They have to come, and if they don't take action, my HOA, I have to keep my house up. Why does that property look like it's been in Ukraine in a bomb zone? It's incredibly disgusting what's happened to my neighborhood. We need you to be proactive. We need you to listen and do something, not just put public comment. Here, you're listening to me, but why isn't things put on next month's agenda? This agenda is a joke. One item about stewards. We have so many problems. You had a race meet. Now this visionary, this delusionalist, I don't know. We've had many people try to buy. That track is really not for sale. It's an illusion, a delusion that he's trying to portray. He won, he got his OTPs, he collects that money, he puts nothing back into the industry. That's obvious have you been by there? Have you even driven? Did you see the urinals in the bathrooms? It's not safe. When we try to go to the city, they say you have a regulatory power, but the regulators, when it's clean, neat, safe, compliance, immediate, and it looks like that, they fail. They failed miserably. We need you to be proactive. Come on. The last commission is a subject in the state's appeals court. Millions of dollars in taxpayers because of failure to regulate. These people here are trying to save an industry. They're here to ask that you be proactive. I have asked for Mr. Casillas' resignation. I gave him all the respect in the world. When you lose it, you got to earn it back. He hasn't earned it back by the looks of that track. It's terrible. You have a duty to do to the people of the state. You signed up to be commissioners. You are willing to serve. You've been here a year now. The last commission is 3 of them resigned in disgrace. A director was fired. Another director was fired. Mr. Sims had been previously suspended a year for, it's ridiculous what's allowed. Thank you.
Okay, the next person on the list is Joanne DiFilippo. Are you here? Oh, on the phone? Okay. Ms.
Can you
DiFilippo?
hear me?
Yes, we may. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Chair and Coolidge, thank you very much for the opportunity to address you. I've got 3 quick things here. 1, I do encourage you to hold, I'll refer to them as study sessions. And yes, you have to follow Arizona open meeting law, just like I do in Pima County. And if you need any help in setting that up, I would be more than willing to lend my expertise to you. Second, I do want to congratulate Commissioner York. At the last meeting, she was questioning about various areas of finance. As a result of Commissioner York bringing this up, I then pulled HB 2895-551R for FY 21-22 and HB 2862-552R for FY 22-23. These were legislative appropriations for horse racing activities for non-baseline expenses. And I want Commissioner York and the commissioners. In fact, I did a spreadsheet on this, and I will forward it to Director Casillas, and perhaps he can forward it to you. I think it would be appropriate for this commission to ask for a report. Now, the Arizona Department of Racing claims that they're just a pass-through. Well, I'm sorry, but you're an agency of a government operation. Therefore, that money flows from the legislature down to the Arizona Department of Racing, and it gets disseminated. You should be reporting to us. And I'll give you an example why. In FY 21-22, the racing purse enhancement was $5 million. Great, but we don't know where it went. The County Fair Racing promotion had $2 million in it. As I understand, Cochise County Fair Association and Sonoyta County Fair Association each received $1 million, yet they only ran 2 days in an entire year. What did they spend the $1 million on? Did you recoup any of that money? I think we need a report on that. Third thing for that year is $145,000 was allocated to fantasy sports betting. Can somebody please report on that? In FY 22-23, there were $175,000 appropriated for a contract veterinarian. Is that something separate and distinct from the Arizona Department of Racing? There was $355,100 allocated to HISA. What was that spent on? And there was $396,900 spent on racetrack maintenance and operations. What was that spent on? Now we're coming into the House bill appropriations that was mentioned earlier in the meeting. 23-24 will go 24-25. What I'm getting at here is I commend Commissioner York and anyone else who is asking for accountability in this funding. If I have to do a public records request, I will, but I don't believe that is necessary. I believe that these reports should be coming forward. The last thing I want to address is I do federal compliance and risk assessments on federal and state money, meaning COVID, U.S. Treasury. Okay, I'm going to say this. You need to change the narrative. If Pima County can spend $4 million on renovating old Tucson studios, then we surely would not have our funds clawed back, especially like the ATBA. Those funds were appropriated for economic recovery, like workforce development. Thank you.
We appreciate your comment today. The next person signed up to speak is Jerry Sims. Mr. Sims, you have 3 minutes.
Don't think he's here.
Okay, the next person on the list is Cash Doherty.
My name's Cash Doherty. I'd like to give my 3 minutes, Commissioner Nolan.
I'm sorry, could you not hear me? I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted. This is Jerry Sims.
Mr. Sims, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the commission and the chairman. You know, when I get a permit to run a track for 3 years, it doesn't mean I have to run 3 years if I want to retire. If a doctor gets a license to practice medicine for 5 years, and after 3 years he wants to retire, he doesn't have to practice the entire 5 years. I don't think there's an understanding of that from some of the people that made comments. We had an issue yesterday where Mr. Nolan and Mr. Garay went to a part of the legislature, a committee, and spoke very negatively about me. I want to say that we have letters that predate, that go back to when I was first given a racing license from Ed Mays, who was the investigator. We have letters from the FBI just explaining, and 2 members of the FBI came to my hearings in front of the commission and testified about these things. So if it would clear things up once and for all, I'd be happy to send the letters from the FBI, from the Ed Mays, who worked for the Department of Racing and did a 6-month investigation on me and so on, and give those to the commissioners to put this nonsense to rest. Mr. Garay takes every snipe also. He used to call, I think I've told you this, me and Mr. Mayor Crancia after every meeting and say, did I do a good job? I thought, why are you calling me to ask me if you did a good job? And then he called me when he lost his job at Walmart and said, did I know of a job for him? I thought, this is a terrible thing. You can't ask me that. I can't. He was still on the commission. So when I turned him down, ever since then, it's this negativity. And it should be put a stop to. It's nonsense. We all have better things to do. I want this industry to flourish, but I want to retire. And I'm allowed to retire. It's not a matter, I understand, I feel badly for trainers that need a place to run. But at a certain age, I want to retire. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Mr. Nolan?
I'll make just a brief statement in response to Mr. Sims and all this FBI and all of it. Why doesn't he bring you the 2006 investigation that gaming did? He appealed. 2010, the Superior Court upheld his denial of a gaming license. So if he's so hunky-dory, why does his racetrack not look like his house in La Jolla?
Yeah, this is very
Treated the same.
inappropriate.
It's wrong.
How many?
It's time
Okay.
to do something. Please be proactive. You have the right. Do you know that the legislature empowered you to uphold the integrity and the welfare of this industry? We lost Arizona Downs. We're down to a half a meat. When will you take action to save our industry? These people need to run. There's monies available. And it needs to go back into a facility. All right, you've heard enough, but let's try to get this. Attorney General, would you please look procedure before the department, whether we are allowed to be heard during meetings and not just in public comment where nothing ever comes of it. Now, Commissioner French Contreras, in your very first meeting, public comment, you were able to table an item in the very next meeting. I don't remember what it was, and I was shocked that boom, public comment, you got it done. Your very first meeting. Why don't we have items be placed on an agenda after public comment so that you would know what to put on an agenda? He's not going to put it on your agenda. You're not apprised at all things affecting our racing industry, or it wouldn't be where we are. Let's try to do something. We need to move forward. We need racing. We need racing year round, and we need to have people help that, not a person who wants to retire and void a 3-year permit when it's an obligation that he signed with the commission. A 3-year, he should have said, I only want 2. Well, I want to retire. No, he signed a 3-year permit. Hold him to it. And if he can't fulfill that legal obligation, there's a chance maybe he should have that permit continued a year or 2 until he can fulfill it. It's angered for the whole industry, $100 million industry, one person. Yeah, I'm going to go to the legislature and I'm going to keep talking about the truth because it's the right thing to do. It's not politically motivated. It's not financially motivated, and it's not self-serving. And I'll tell you the last part, it isn't easy to do. It's simply the right thing to do. And I'll close on that. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being in person. And anybody wanting to reach out to me, I offer any day of the week. I'm at the track usually 4:30 or 5, 7 days. I like them. I smell manure. That's usually the smell of money in my 40 years. But when I didn't smell it the last 8 months, people go broke, and it's not fun. You have a duty. Please do it for the people of the state of Arizona. Don't victimize the patrons. Don't victimize the patrons or the participants.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your comments. Okay, the next person on virtual is Mandy Holland.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can. You have 3 minutes.
Great. Thank you. And I applaud the ability to
talk to the commission today, and most importantly, also the Attorney General. I want to make the commission and the Attorney General aware of a situation that occurred last spring at the Turf Paradise meet. Towards the end of the meet, we had a licensed veterinarian be caught by the department's investigators and for treating a horse on race day after I had given it Lasix, which is against the rules. This individual, along with the trainer involved, were caught on video camera. The defendants in this were granted a stay through the end of the meet, and the trainer was allowed to run the last day of the meet, winning $30,000. Upon the end of the meet, the case went through the department only for a summary hearing without any evidence produced from Dr. Gale, Mr. Jason Hart, and Mr. Don Roush, our stewards, which is normally the protocol for any sort of illegal activity that happens on the backside of the racetrack. Now, with that being said, these individuals are currently on the backside of Turf Paradise. They were giving a 30-day suspension and a $1,500 fine, which is a drop in a bucket when you win $30,000 5 days later. Now, I will let you know that the trainer was not allowed by the Minnesota Racing Commission to step foot at Canterbury Racing Park, nor was the veterinarian, because of the action received here in Arizona. However, these individuals are back at Turf Paradise running and operating their businesses. It is a concern of mine as a licensed veterinarian for the state of Arizona, also with the Department of Gaming and Racing with Arizona, that we are allowing this to move forward with no interference and no dereliction of duty. I think it's an embarrassment to the department, number one, and it pretty much shows the rest of the rest of the racing industry across the United States that, hey, you get caught cheating, no problem here. We're going to fine you $1,000 and we're going to give you 30 days to go do something else, but we're going to welcome you back with open arms. Everybody in the racing industry knows that Arizona is the Wild West and is open for cheating. I've been on the backside for 20 years. I have been a track veterinarian. I have worked in the state testing barn area. I've been a treating vet, and now I'm a third-party Lasix regulatory vet. It is an embarrassment for my profession where I try to run a moral and ethical compass and advocate for the horse, and your department screwed this up. And I want the
Ma'am,
commission
could
to
you-
know, and I want that.
Ma'am,
Thank
could
you,
you get
ma'am.
those
Your time
names,
is up.
ma'am? Could you get those names to our general manager, Mr. Francia?
It is Jackie Westerman, DVM, and Miguel Hernandez. You can pull the public records report and you can see the hearing summary on the ADOG's website.
Thank you, Dr. Holland. Your time is expired.
Thank you.
We appreciate your comment. The next person signed up to speak is Kay Grana. I believe you're virtual. If you're on the phone, we'll give you just a second. Hearing nothing, just looking to make sure we have nobody else signed up to speak.
No. I don't have anything.
Chair, that's the conclusion of who signed up to speak for the call to the public. I'll turn the mic back over to you.
Thanks, Vice Chair Olson. At this point, I will move down to the announcements. The next scheduled commission meeting will not be in person. The meeting will be held via Google Meet at 10 a.m. on Thursday, February 8th, 2023, subject to change based on a quorum. That said, I'll move for adjournment.
Chairman, the commissioners. Director, would it be appropriate to ask to have on the agenda next month a bit more information on the subject matter brought up by Dr. Holland?
Yes, we'll provide a report on that matter.
Thank you, sir.
We have a motion for adjournment.
Okay. Thank you. With the motion by Chair Coolidge and a second by Commissioner York, I will call the roll. Chair Coolidge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner Contreras,
Yes.
Commissioner York.
Yes.
Thank you. The time is now 11:41 and this meeting has adjourned. Thanks for everyone to exit.
Everybody-